On the edge of a small American town, there's a road so cursed that locals refuse to drive it after sundown. They say if you pass the twisted oaks at midnight, your headlights will flicker, your radio will hiss, and in the rearview mirror you'll see her, a pale woman in a blood-soaked dress, whispering the same words over and over. Don't take this road, don't end up like me. Tonight, we journey down Black Hollow Road, a place where countless drivers vanished and were never seen again. Emily Carter was 19 years old when she vanished on a cold October night in 1996. She had just finished her late shift at a diner in Ashwood, Pennsylvania. Witnesses saw her car leave the parking lot around 11:45 p.m., headed straight for Black Hollow Road, the quickest route home, but Emily never made it back. By morning, police found her car abandoned by the roadside. The engine was still warm. The driver's door was wide open, her purse untouched, and on the frost-covered windshield smeared with a shaking finger were 3 chilling words: "Don't take it." Emily was never found. Her disappearance sparked a wave of investigations, news coverage, and wild rumors. Locals whispered that she had fallen victim to the ghost bride, a spirit said to wander Black Hollow Road, luring drivers into the woods. And over the years, more names were added to the list: families, truckers, teenagers, dozens who vanished, leaving only cars' doors open, headlights still on. But the strangest part, every victim had one thing in common: their last phone call contained static, then a woman's whisper, barely audible, warning them to turn back. Black Hollow Road wasn't always cursed. In fact, before 1940, it was just another quiet stretch of asphalt cutting through the Pennsylvania woods. Farmers used it. Couples parked along it. Children walked it home from school. But then tragedy struck. In the spring of 1941, a newly couple, Daniel and Margaret Holloway, were driving home late from their wedding reception. A storm had rolled across Ashwood, heavy rain hammering down on the car roof. As they turned onto that wooded stretch, Daniel lost control on the slick pavement. The car skidded, flipped, and crashed into the oaks. By the time police arrived, Daniel was dead. Margaret was pinned inside, still wearing her white lace dress, her veil soaked with blood. She died in the ambulance, whispering Daniel's name. The crash was so brutal that locals renamed the area Black Hollow in memory of the couple. But grief has a way of leaving scars deeper than stone. At first, it was just a legend. Drivers claimed they saw a woman in white along the roadside, waving desperately for help. But when they pulled over, she'd vanish. Then came the accidents. Truckers reported brakes locking up as if someone grabbed the wheel. Teens dared each other to speed down the road at midnight, only to end up wrapped around trees, screaming that they'd seen her face in the mirror. By the 1960s, Black Hollow Road had become a whispered warning. Mothers told their children not to walk it after dark. Fathers refused to take the shortcut, even if it added 30 minutes to the drive, because every few years another life was claimed. But the strangest case was in 1974. A sheriff's deputy named Mark Ellison was patrolling the area when his radio crackled with static. He swore he heard a woman's voice whisper, "Turn back." Seconds later, his cruiser spun out of control and slammed into a ditch. When backup arrived, Ellison was shaking, pale, and barely able to speak. He claimed he saw a bride in his headlights, standing in the middle of the road, her dress dragging across the asphalt. And when they inspected his car, the windshield was covered in streaks, smears shaped like handprints. But Ellison had been driving alone. By the 1980s, Black Hollow Road had become a local curse, a place no one wanted to be caught after dark. Newspapers called it the Widow's Highway. College kids called it Dead Bride Lane. And then, in 1996, Emily Carter disappeared. Her case didn't just reignite the legend, it brought a new wave of fear. Suddenly, the ghost wasn't just a story. It was real. Because Emily's mother swore the night her daughter vanished, the home phone rang at 12:07 a.m. On the other end, there was no voice, only static. And beneath it, barely audible, the sound of a woman crying. So what really happened on Black Hollow Road? Was it just bad luck, bad weather, and reckless drivers? Or did Margaret Holloway's restless spirit really remain wandering those woods, reliving the night she lost her husband? Every town in America has its haunted place. But in Ashwood, Pennsylvania, Black Hollow Road isn't just a campfire tale. It's a scar, one that keeps bleeding. Legends can be dismissed, accidents can be explained, but what about the people who lived through it? Over the years, dozens have claimed encounters on Black Hollow Road. Some survived. Some never fully came back. Take the story of Tommy Briggs, a trucker from Ohio. In 1983, Tommy was hauling lumber through Pennsylvania when his GPS failed, forcing him to take back roads. Just past midnight, he found himself rumbling onto Black Hollow Road. At first, it was just another highway, dense trees, silence, the hum of the engine. Then the air grew cold. So cold his breath fogged up the windshield, and that's when he saw her, a woman in whitey standing in the middle of the lane. Her head tilted, her veil fluttering even though there was no wind. Tommy slammed on the brakes, the truck screeching to a halt. But when he jumped down to help, she was gone. All that remained were wet footprints leading across the pavement, fading halfway into the woods. Tommy never drove that route again. He told his story to the Ashwood Gazette in 1994, his hands trembling as he recalled her eyes. They weren't angry, they were sad, like she wanted me to join her. Then there's Rachel Martinez, a college student who dared to drive the road with friends in 2001. It was supposed to be a joke, just kids with flashlights telling ghost stories. But when Rachel turned off the headlights as a prank, something appeared in the rearview mirror. Not her friends, not her, but a pale woman sitting in the back seat. Rachel screamed, swerved, and nearly hit a tree. Her friends say she refused to drive again for months. And when pressed, Rachel whispered. She smiled at me, like she was happy I could see her. Police records also hide chilling fragments. In 2009, a 911 call came from a driver on Black Hollow Road. The dispatcher's log is still public. The other files are 36 caller reports a woman in the road. The others and ones are 2 caller screaming. Zotos on a 15 line goes dead. By the time officers arrived, the car was empty. The driver was never found. All they discovered was the cell phone, screen still lit, lying in the middle of the asphalt. The final word typed into the notes app, bride. But the most disturbing account belongs to Deputy Mark Ellison, the same officer from 1974 who crashed his cruiser. Years later, before his death, Ellison gave one final interview. He described the ghost not as a woman, but as an echo. He said, "She's not haunting us. She's reliving it. Every driver who sees her is being pulled into her memory. And if you don't leave fast enough, you won't come back." Ellison refused to drive the road ever again. He died in 1998, still claiming the cries of a bride followed him in his dreams. These aren't just stories told in whispers. They're written in police logs, in newspapers, in the trembling voices of people who swore they'd seen something that logic couldn't explain. And when you start to put them all together, a darker picture forms. Black Hollow Road isn't just haunted, it's a trap. A place where time repeats. A place where grief takes shape. And anyone who enters risks becoming part of the legend. Every legend begins with a story. But on Black Hollow Road, that story has a name. Her name was Emily Carter. Emily was just 22 years old in the summer of 1958, a bright young woman, recently engaged and preparing for her wedding. Locals said she was full of life, always humming songs under her breath, always scribbling notes in a leather-bound journal she carried everywhere. On August 12th, Emily vanished. Her fiancé, Michael Reeves, told police they had been driving home late that night from a family gathering. A sudden storm swept in, rain hammering the windshield, lightning splitting the sky. Michael claimed the car stalled right on the old country road that would later be renamed Black Hollow Road. He went out to check the engine, leaving Emily inside. When he returned minutes later, she was gone. The passenger door stood wide open. Her shoes were still on the floor mat. Her veil, tucked into her purse, was left behind. But Emily herself had disappeared into the night. Search parties combed the woods for weeks. Bloodhounds caught a scent that led them through the hollow, down to the edge of the Ashwood River. But there the trail ended. Theories spread like wildfire. Some said Michael killed her, jealous, unstable, desperate. Others whispered Emily ran away, too scared to commit to marriage. But the most chilling whispers came from those who lived near the road. They claimed Emily never left at all, that her spirit still lingered, caught between the storm and the silence, searching endlessly for the life she lost. What made Emily's disappearance unforgettable were the sightings that followed. Within weeks, drivers began reporting a pale woman in a wedding dress wandering the roadside. She was always described the same way: soaked, barefoot, veil torn at the edges. Her face was pale, her lips blue, and her eyes searching. The police brushed it off as hysteria fueled by grief. But locals knew better. Some even claimed they saw Michael himself wandering the woods at night, calling her name, begging for forgiveness if her ghost answered only to him. The case never closed. Emily's parents passed away without answers. Michael left town and was never heard from again. And Black Hollow Road became more than just a shortcut through the hills. It became a shrine. Teenagers dared each other to leave flowers on the roadside. Drivers honked their horns at midnight, hoping to keep her ghost away. And those unlucky enough to see her claimed she always appeared on stormy nights, just as she vanished. The most disturbing detail came from Emily's journal. Recovered from her purse, the last page held a single unfinished sentence, written hours before she vanished. "If anything happens tonight, promise me you'll tell them I was happy." Why would a young bride be write something like that? Did she know something, or was it fate pulling her into the storm? Decades later, Emily Carter's disappearance remains unsolved. No body, no closure, just a name tied forever to a stretch of road where reality and legend bleed together. And as the years passed, one chilling truth emerged. Every major sighting of the White Bride happened within a mile of where Emily vanished. So now the question is the White Bride merely a ghost story? Or are we seeing the restless spirit of Emily Carter, replaying her final night again and again for anyone who dares to pass? If Emily Carter's disappearance was the beginning, then what followed was proof. The White Bride wasn't just a story, because those who saw her often never made it home. The first case was 1974. A trucker named Daniel Whitmore was hauling lumber through Black Hollow Road late one evening. The weather was clear, conditions perfect. But when he failed to check in at the depot the next morning, his company sent a search crew. They found his 18-wheeler abandoned on the roadside, headlights still on, engine idling. The driver's door hung wide open. Daniel was gone. No blood, no signs of a struggle. Just a half-smoked cigarette on the dash and a wedding bouquet, fresh and dripping wet, sitting in the passenger's seat. The second case came just 3 years later. Two college students, Linda and Carol, were driving home from a late-night party. At 20:14 a.m., Linda called her parents from a payphone, her voice frantic. She said they had seen a woman standing in the middle of the road. A woman in white. She claimed Carol swerved to avoid her, nearly crashing into the ditch. And then, the phone cut out. When police traced the call, they found the payphone dangling off its hook. Their car was parked just down the road. The doors were open, but Linda and Carol had vanished. To this day, their names remain on the missing persons list. These weren't isolated events. From the 1970s through the early 2000s, more than 11 people vanished within the 3-mile stretch of Black Hollow Road, and the survivors, the rare ones who lived to tell their stories, spoke of the same thing: a pale bride, soaked to the bone, appearing in the headlights. Sometimes, she walked toward the car. Sometimes she stood still, her head tilted, and once as she was seen floating inches above the ground. One survivor, Mark Jensen, recalled, "She was there right in front of us. Veil torn, her face so pale you could see the veins. My buddy slammed the brakes, but she didn't move. She just lifted her hand like she was reaching out, and then she was gone." We spun out. When we stopped, the seat next to me was soaked, but the windows were shut. Police dismissed these stories. They blamed accidents on drunk driving, fatigue, even animals darting across the road. But locals knew better. Every missing person case, every strange accident always circled back to one thing: the Bride of Black Hollow Road. And the disappearances haven't stopped. In 2016, a young mother named Jessica Lane disappeared while driving home from work. Her dashcam was later recovered from the wreckage of her car, pulled from the river just off the hollow. The footage showed her humming softly, tapping her fingers on the wheel. Then at 11:59 p.m. her expression changed. She leaned forward, her eyes widened, and she whispered, barely audible, "No, not you." The screen shook violently as if the car swerved. Then, only static. Jessica's body was never found. Today, families leave flowers at the roadside, not just for Emily Carter, but for the others who followed her into the hollow. The stories, the sightings, the vanishings all blur into one chilling truth. Once you see the white bride, she may never let you go. And so the question deepens. Is she luring souls to join her? Or is the hollow itself cursed, feeding on the living, wearing Emily's face as its disguise? Either way, survivors are few, and the list of the missing grows longer with every storm. By the late 1990s, Black Hollow Road had gained a reputation that even skeptics couldn't ignore. Too many missing persons, too many sightings, too many screams reported in the dead of night. It was no longer just a ghost story. The first serious attempt to investigate came in 1998, when a local paranormal group called the Lantern Society set up cameras along the stretch of highway. They camped overnight, recording the empty road. At exactly 12:17 a.m., one of their cameras captured something they could never explain. A figure, faint, glowing unmistakably in white, appeared at the edge of the asphalt. The footage shows her stepping forward, head tilted, veil torn. But as headlights from a passing car approached, she simply dissolved. When the team retrieved their tapes, they found something else. On one of the audio recorders, a chilling whisper, "Please don't leave me here." But it wasn't just ghost hunters. Even police encountered the unexplained. In 2002, Deputy Michael Harris responded to a call about a stranded motorist. Dispatch records confirm he reported seeing a young woman in a wedding dress walking into the woods. When backup arrived, Harris was gone. They found his patrol car parked at the roadside, engine running, lights flashing. His radio was still on. The last words captured were his panicked voice. "Wah, she's inside the car with me." Deputy Harris has never been found. By this point, the Hollow's legend spread beyond the town. National ghost hunting shows arrived. Psychic mediums held vigils. Skeptics, thrill seekers, and YouTubers alike came armed with cameras. Most caught nothing, but some claimed otherwise. One viral clip from 2011 shows three friends laughing as they drive through the hollow. Suddenly, the laughter stops. The camera swings wildly as their car swerves. When it steadies, a pale figure is visible in the rear window, sitting in the back seat. The clip ends in screams. Police found the car abandoned a week later. All three friends were missing. The footage was leaked online by their families, who begged for answers. Perhaps the most unsettling account came from a psychic named Marjorie Hale, who visited in 2015. Standing in the middle of Black Hollow Road, she closed her eyes and whispered, "She doesn't know she's dead. She's searching, always searching. But it's not for her groom. It's for company. For someone, anyone to take her place." Moments later, Marjorie collapsed, gasping, clawing at her throat. When she awoke, she claimed she had felt drowning, cold water filling her lungs, hands pulling her beneath the surface. Even skeptics began to waver. Locals described strange malfunctions, cell phones dying, headlights flickering, radios tuning to static when driving the hollow at night. One trucker reported his GPS recalculating itself, directing him in endless circles through the same stretch of road until he realized the system was spelling out a word on the map, STI. Still, no investigation has offered answers. Police dismiss paranormal claims. Paranormal teams insist they've captured proof, but the truth remains buried in fog and silence. What they do agree on is the undeniable pattern. People go missing, cars are found abandoned, and those who escape never drive the hollow again. So what is the hollow? A restless bride doomed to wander, a cursed road feeding on the living, or something older, darker, using the face of Emily Carter as bait? Every investigation has ended in terror, and the mystery only deepens. Because when you step onto Black Hollow Road after midnight, you don't just risk your life. You risk your soul. Legends end in whispers, but Black Hollow Road ends in screams. In 2021, a young couple named Daniel and Marissa decided to test the legend for themselves. They were thrill seekers, YouTubers who filmed urban legends. Their plan was simple: drive through Black Hollow Road at midnight, live streaming the entire thing. The footage remains online to this day. At first, it's nothing. A dark road, trees pressing in from both sides, headlights cutting through the mist. Marissa laughs nervously. Daniel jokes about the bride. Chat messages fly across the screen. You guys are crazy. Turn back. Look behind you. That's when the audio glitches. The live feed distorts, static crackles, the screen flickers, and faintly a whisper bleeds through. Help me. Viewers typed frantically, begging them to stop. But Daniel keeps driving, narrating like a horror host. Then, at 12:17 a.m., Marissa's face changes, her eyes widen. Daniel, do you see her? The camera swings toward the side of the road, and there she is. A woman in a torn, mud-stained wedding dress, her veil shredded. Her face pale, hollow, almost skeletal. She lifts a hand, beckoning them forward. Daniel, still laughing, slows the car. The livestream chat explodes, half screaming for them to leave, half urging them closer. Against Marissa's protests, Daniel pulls over. The bride steps into the middle of the road, staring. Then, without warning, she vanishes. The feed glitches again, and suddenly the bride is inside the car. Sitting in the back seat, Marissa screams. The camera shakes violently. Daniel swerves, the car spinning off the road. The livestream captures chaos, branches snapping, metal scraping, then silence. For 20 full seconds, the feed shows nothing but darkness, until a face appears inches from the camera. The bride whispering, "Stay with me." The screen cuts to black. Authorities found the wreckage the next morning. Daniel's car had slammed into a tree, both airbags deployed, but the car was empty. No bodies, no footprints, just a white veil snagged in the branches above. The live stream archive was preserved by viewers who recorded it before the platform removed it for disturbing content. To this day, no trace of Daniel or Marissa has ever been found. Black Hollow Road remains empty, silent, waiting. Some say if you drive it at midnight, you'll hear Marissa's scream echoing from the trees. Others claim you'll see Daniel's headlights in your rearview mirror, only for them to vanish when you turn to look. But most agree on one thing: the bride doesn't haunt the hollow. The hollow is the bride, and once you see her, she never lets you go. So tell me, would you dare drive down Black Hollow Road alone tonight?